Alright guys, here's your test review. So number one, it says find the measure of each exterior angle of a regular 56 gon. Round to the nearest tenth. So again, when we're talking exterior angle, we know that the sum of the exterior angles of any polygon is equal to 360. This one is regular, so we know that all the angles are the same, and it has 56 sides, therefore it has 56 angles. So if we want to find what each angle is, all it is 360 divided by 56. Okay, real straightforward. Use your calculator, and that's 6.4 for number one. Okay, number two, given BE is equal to 2x plus 6 and ED is equal to 5x minus 12, in the parallelogram ABCD, find BD. Okay, so first of all, it told us that BE, this guy right here, is 2x plus 6. And then it told us ED, this guy right here, is 5x minus 12. Well, we know in a parallelogram that the diagonals bisect each other, so we know those two parts of that diagonal are equal to each other. So we know we can set these two things equal and solve. So 2x plus 6 equals 5x minus 12. Okay, and then we can solve for x. Subtract 2 from each side, 2x. Try to get all the x's on one side. So it was 6 still on the left-hand side, and 3x minus 12 on the right. We're going to add the 12 to each side to get the x's by themselves. Okay, let's skip the step, and it's going to leave us with 18 equals 3x. Okay, and the last step, to get the x by itself, we have to divide by 3 on each side, and x will be equal to 6. But be careful, the problem didn't want x, it wanted BD. Okay, and BD is this whole thing right here. But if we just put it in one part, we know those two parts are equal, we can just do times 2. Okay, so I'm going to put it in this one. So 2 times 6 plus 6 is equal to 18. But that's just 1/2. We got to do times 2 to get the actual answer, and that's 36. Okay, moving on to number 4. It says find the measure of angle W in the parallelogram. Okay, so it wants this angle right here, but we know that opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. So we can set those two quantities equal, solve for x, and then plug it back in. Okay, so 2x minus 1 equals x plus 16. I'm going to move over the 1 first, get all the constants on one side. My next move will be to subtract x from each side to get all the x's on one side, and we find that x is going to be equal to 17. Again, that's not what they wanted. We have to find the measure of w. So we need to plug it in. Uh-oh. Let's pause. Alright, sorry about that. We just found x, right? And they wanted a measure of angle w on number 4. So we have to plug that in to find w. So 2 times 17 minus 1. And that's going to be equal to 33. Okay? So moving on to number 5. It says find the sum of the measures of the interior angles of convex 48 gon. Okay? So anytime we need to find the sum of the measure of interior angles, we know we're going to use that formula. We'll change to blue. N minus 2 times 180. N is always the number of sides we had, so all we got to do is plug in 48 minus 2 times 180. Move up here, 46 times 180, and our answer will be 8,280. Okay, real straightforward. Alright, the next one says find x. Okay, notice all of our angles are the interior angles, so we need to find out what all these guys' sum would be. Using that same formula we just used for number 5, the sum of the interior angles is always equal to n minus 2 times 180. This time we have a quadrilateral, or a 4-sided polygon, so it's 4 minus 2 times 180, and that's equal to 360. Okay, so now we know that when we add up all these angles, they should equal 360. Okay, so now we can set it up where this plus this plus this plus this equals 360. I'm going to skip writing out the whole equation because I don't have a whole lot of room, but I'm going to go right to 2x plus x, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7x. Don't do it like this if you're doing it alone. I'm just trying to get to the next step. Plus 10 equals 360. So that's what it'll look like after you combine like terms, after you did all the angles sum. Okay, solving from there, we're going to subtract 10 from each side to get the x's by themselves. 7x equals 350. Last step, of course, divide by 7, and we'll find that x is equal to 50. Okay, moving right along here. Alright, this says ABC is a parallelogram with measure of angle A of 138. Find measure of angle B. So we need to draw this picture. Doesn't really matter what your picture looks like, as long as it's quadrilateral and you know it's a parallelogram. Okay, the important part is how you label it. When you label it, you can start A wherever you want, and then you need to go around your figure either clockwise or counterclockwise. So I can do it this way, or I could have did it this way. I could have did A, B, C, D. Okay, the only thing you cannot do is do a little zigzag. I cannot do A, B, C, D. Okay, that'll be wrong. So now again, let me draw my figure. It's a parallelogram, or we're going to act like it is at least. A, B, C, D. Okay, and then we're told that angle A is 138. Well, angle B, no matter how you label it, will be right next to angle A. So they're consecutive angles, and we learned that consecutive angles in a parallelogram are supplementary, or they add to be 180. So if we want to find B, all we need to do is 180 minus 138, and we'll find the measure of angle B is 42. Okay, moving on to number 8. It says find the sum of the measures of the interior angle of a convex 30-gon. So again, this is just straightforward with the formula. We're talking about the sum of the interior angles, so we use the n minus 2 times 180 formula. Okay, again, n is the number of sides, so 30 minus 2 times 180, and 28 times 180 will give us our answer. It's 5,040. Okay, let's keep moving. What do we have in time? Come on, 2 minutes. Alright, so number 9. Number 9 is straightforward. It's just with our properties. We're told that for rhombus ABCD, so this is a rhombus, find a measure of angle 1. But we know in a rhombus, our diagonals are always perpendicular. What does it mean to be perpendicular? It means, oops, trying to run away. It means that all of our angles in the middle right here are 90 degrees because the two lines create 90-degree angles. So we know to find measure of angle 1, it is also going to be 90 degrees. So the answer is just plain 90. That's just straightforward with our properties of rhombus. Okay. Moving on to number 10. It says find the measure of PRS. So when we say PRS, we mean this guy right here. Find PRS and square PQRS, so our whole square. So we know we have a square, which I always tell y'all is the granddaddy of all parallelograms. Excuse me. So it holds all the properties that we've learned so far. So from our rectangles, we know that this is a 90-degree angle. Okay? But from our rhombus or rhombi, we learned that these two angles are congruent. So if this whole thing is 90 and we just want 1/2 of that, we know our answer will be 45. Moving on along. Alright. The diagonals of a square ABCD intersect at E. Okay, so let's draw that picture before we go any further. Okay, so we got a square. We're going to act like that's a square. Okay, and it has diagonals. So it's A, B, C, D, and they intersect at E. Okay, and then it says AE, so this part of the segment right here is 3x minus 4, and BD, so this whole thing right here is 10x minus 48. Okay, but we're talking about a square, which holds all the properties of parallelograms we've learned. So we know from rectangles that our diagonals are congruent, and we know from properties of parallelograms that this is equal to this. But if our diagonals are congruent, then this is also equal to this. Okay, so if the whole thing BD is 10x minus 48, then BD is 2 of 3x minus 4. Okay, so we can set it up 2 times 3x minus 4 equals 10x minus 48. Alright, so what was I? Alright, so from here, we just need to distribute that 2. Alright, so then we know we have 6x minus 8 equals 10x minus 48. Okay, I'm going to go down into the next problem, but we'll just erase it once we're done. And you can always pause and go back. So I'm going to subtract 6x from each side, trying to get the x's all on one side. Minus 8 will be equal to 4x minus 48. Again, trying to get the x's all on one side. We're going to add 48 to each side. That's going to leave us with 40 equals 4x. Last step is to divide by 4, and we'll get x is equal to 10. Okay, but these guys wanted AC. Right, y'all see that up here? They wanted AC, not just x. So AC, well, either you can set it up 2 ways. You can set up either, again, 3x minus 4 times 2, like we did right here, because that's what AC is. But AC is also equal to dB because we're a square. Okay, so I'm just going to set it up that way. That now, well, since AC and BD are equal, we're going to solve for AC, but I can just plug it in BD. So just a straight plug and chug now. So 10 times 10 minus 48, which is 100 minus 48, which is 52, right? Okay. So pause, you can get that. I'm going to erase. Keep moving forward with our little trig problem here. Alright, trig. I know it's a different animal, but as long as we know, have our direction, it's mostly calculator work we got to figure out. Okay, so we're looking at this angle. So the one across from it, the one that doesn't touch it, is opposite. Across from the right angle is hypotenuse, and the last one is adjacent. Okay, so we have opposite, we need hypotenuse. If you have your SOHCAHTOA in front of you, you know we got to use SO, or sine. So sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And then we just plug in what we know. Again, theta is always the angle. So it's going to be 63 equals opposite is 12, hypotenuse is x. And then from there we just got to solve. Okay, so put this guy over 1. Do our cross multiplication to get rid of our fractions. Nobody likes those. It's going to be 12 equals sine of 63 times x. Okay, sine of 63 is just a number. Okay, once you put it in the calculator, it's just a number. So we can divide it just like any other number. Divide by sine of 63 on each side. 12 over sine 63 will be equal to x. And this is what we got to put in our calculator.